This is On Second Thought, and I'm Cedric Golden. We're powered by Hook'em.com. I'm joined by a longtime friend of the podcast, one of my favorite people on the planet Earth. That doesn't include Mars, but there might be life up there. That's what I'm hearing, Rod B. But I'm not going to find out. Rod Babers joins us. You can hear him on TexasFootball.com. It's also on YouTube, and he's on the very popular, very extremely popular Third and Longhorns podcast with Longhorn greats, legends, Alex Okafor, Derek Johnson, Fozzie Whitaker, Jeremy Hills. What a great show that is. Rod, y'all had Mac Brown. I had Mac on this podcast maybe twice, and I had to beg. I mean, y'all probably just send him a text and Mac's like, "What time you want me to be there?" How you get Mac so quick?
Shout out to Nick Shuley as well, who does the show with us. He hooks up a lot of our interviews, man, working hard behind the scenes. But once you drop some of the names that you just brought up, it don't take much for somebody to go, oh, you got Derek Johnson on there with you? Oh, you got Alex Okafor? Oh, yeah, I'll come hang out with you guys. So like I said, I'm not pulling, I'm not pulling the weight. I don't have the accolades that these guys do. I mean, Alex Okafor, I believe he's got Patrick Mahomes in his cell phone. You know what I mean?
He does.
These guys, they're on a different level. Derek Johnson
is on Alex Okafor's on the school board. And he's changing lives. He's trying to get Linda McMahon out of there. He's changing lives.
Derek Johnson, 4 Hall of Fames. Jeremy Hills trains the best football players in the NFL. They go train at his gym, the Collective. Fozzie's doing, SEC Network and all this stuff. So,
ESPN,
like I said,
ESPN, in North Dakota during a playoff game. I was like, you're not hot, are you? It was cold.
Yeah, man. These guys are big time, man. They're doing I'm the OG of the group.
I know.
I'm the OG. I'm the old one.
That's what gets me is because if Rod Babers is the oldest one, how old am I? I mean, I'm up there. I'm up there. I am up there.
Hey, you still look good, man. You still look good, Sid.
I know. That's why I go to lunch with Kirk Bowles and Mark Rosner, my ex-coworkers, because I'm the baby in the bunch. That's the only place I can be the baby. Everywhere else, I look around in the press for Rob B. I look around during interviews. We were talking to Sarkeesian a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just sitting over and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I'm one of the oldest. If you're talking about the media, the people that cover Texas football in the media, here are the people that are older than me, and it's a short list. Greg Way is older than me. Kirk Bowles, of course, is the OG. Keith Moreland is older than me. Roger Wallace is older than me.
Okay. That's not it.
Why are you looking at me like you surprised, Roger? You see that white hair? Roger Wallace. He put that Just for Men down a couple years ago. He just let it hang because he's running things in NBC. But those are the only ones. Those are the only ones. Everybody else is younger. I mean, I'm in my 50s, but there aren't that many 50-somethings. I mean, Onward Richardson and I may be the only two guys in the 50s. So,
yeah.
And I'm running out of 50s. I'm running out of runway, fam. I'm running out of runway.
Trust me, I'm running out of my 40s. My 40s runway is running out. I'm 45 this year.
Are you 45 yet?
45 this year. I'll be 45 this year.
Oh, you got time, though. Don't worry about that. I mean,
no, I feel old. Man. I got a 19-month-old, so I feel old at 45.
Oh, that keeps you young. That baby's gonna keep you young, man. That's gonna keep you young. Well, I know they didn't tune in to hear about old folks. I mean, we appreciate you tuning in your cars, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. We're gonna talk about this NFL draft. I know it's been a minute, but people are excited to see. We'll talk about the draft itself later. But before, we'll talk about the fallout from all these great players leaving the University of Texas. Arch Manning is ascending to the throne that's been abdicated by Quinn Ewers. More on him later. Is there, first of all, I'm just going to ask you point blank, is this a sizable upgrade to Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning? And if it is, Rod, will we know it? Because he's going to be operating behind a retooled offensive line.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought that up. Let's start there, right? One of the things that Quinn struggled with was dealing with pressure. Ultimately, the self-sacks, His pressure to sack rate was pretty high. I mean, it was probably hovering around 25%, somewhere around there. And we would oftentimes watch his footwork deteriorate, his mechanics deteriorate once he dealt with pressure. I think Arch will deal with pressure a lot better than Quinn did. First of all, he has escapability. He has mobility, so you'll see him move around. So I think he has better sack avoidance than Quinn. Quinn was actually one of the worst quarterbacks in college football at sack avoidance, and we all watched that. All right, so I think that's number one. The deep ball will come back. Quinn was not great at converting the deep ball. He got better, but Sark curtailed the deep ball in his offense because of the shortcomings that Quinn had in his skill set, but doesn't mean that Quinn didn't have strengths. Quinn in the short intermediate game was immaculate. He was awesome. But with the deep ball, at times he would struggle to convert those with some of the best wide receivers in college football. Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, some of the fastest wide receivers in college football too, with Isaiah Bond. That'll change with Arch. I think Arch had a 21% deep ball rate last season. Just to give you perspective on that. Do you remember when Michael Penix, Texas, played Washington 2 years ago? I believe that was the
rematch.
The college
CFP.
football playoff.
CFP.
Yes, and his deep ball. Yes, his deep ball rate was 21%. He was one of the national leaders in deep ball rate. Last season, Arch was at 21%. Quinn was around 12% deep ball rate.
Wow.
So you're going to see more deep balls. Yeah, more deep passes. You're also going to see, I think, ultimately some traditional play action come back. Traditional play action, maybe from the pistol. Talking about old school. I don't know if they'll go into center much, but you may even see some of that. So I think ultimately there are just elements of the offense that you'll see that Quinn couldn't provide. The scramble, you're going to see him scramble a lot more effectively than Quinn. Quinn wasn't bad at scrambling when he did, but Arch isn't. He was at the Arch package last year. He's a much more effective dual threat quarterback. And the scramble, by the way, is the most effective play in football today. All right, there's actually in the NFL
last year. You can't plan for it.
Exactly. No defense can plan for it. And right now in the NFL, the scramble is averaging more yards per play than the average pass in the NFL. And
That's
as you
crazy.
pointed out, yes, and it's the most unpredictable play because the defense, we can't plan for it, and there's no way for your defense to be able to plan for the scramble drill because you just don't know what the adjustment is for the wide receivers and the quarterback. So that'll be a cheat code that you're adding to the offense that Quinn didn't have access to.
Well, let me ask you this: is that a big reason why he slipped all the way to the seventh round? Because these scouts and these organizations know that the scramble is so important, and then you look up and guys like Cam Ward who can move and Jalen Milroe who can move are all going in front of a guy who was not adept at scrambling. Was that part of his precipitous fall in this draft? And were you shocked that he fell to the seventh round?
I was shocked that he fell to the seventh round. I think there's a lot of things at play here. Yes, his skill set doesn't seem to be the modern skill set of quarterbacks, right? He doesn't have enough functional mobility. Everybody right now has functional mobility. Most quarterbacks in the NFL actually have the ability to scramble as a weapon. Patrick Mahomes uses it as a weapon. Go look at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. The best quarterbacks in the NFL can all scramble really well. CJ Stroud's even thrown in that too. Quinn can't do that. That's also now the NFL. And I think the Mannings actually know this, and they knew it before everybody else. The NFL is no longer a developmental league for quarterbacks. If you are a developmental quarterback, which Quinn is, they are not interested in drafting you in the middle rounds anymore. The last two drafts, it has shown us that if you're a developmental quarterback, you will drop to the later rounds in the draft. They just don't believe in development. And we know that. I mean, go look at how quickly they give up on quarterbacks they draft in early rounds, right? So either they're going to overlook your downside and draft you higher, Jackson Dart, or they're going to say, developmental guy, we'll get him later. And go look at the draft, it reflects that. You had a lot of quarterbacks get drafted later and very few quarterbacks drafted in those middle rounds where you usually would draft a developmental quarterback. So I think that's a league thing that also is hurt Quinn too. But I think ultimately what hurt Quinn, there's a lot of different things that hurt Quinn. You can't explain the Georgia game. A scout wants to sit down with you and have a conversation, coach, GM, and they want to ask you, what the hell happened in that Georgia game? I mean, I've seen guys have bad games, but you was so bad, your coach had to bench you so that you would be able to reset and gather yourself because you were so discombobulated. Can you tell us what happened? And there is no good answer. There's no good answer.
Not from a,
There's no good answer.
not acceptable to the people asking the question. They want to hear what you
Exactly.
got to say, but they've already gone. I mean,
Yeah.
if you had a case of diarrhea or
Yeah.
something, or if you were sick, but the decision making was poor, and he looked rattled.
Was
Robbie,
for.
a little rattled, and that's some elite pass rushers. That's some
Yes, he did.
elite people out there. Jalen Carter, there's some elite guys coming after him in that game, but that was
Mm-hmm.
the same guy that stood strong against some elite guys from Alabama a year earlier. So what changed?
Yes. Yes. I tell you what changed. The preparation. We know this, and I'll tell you, Sark gonna do it again for Ohio State. Those early season, big time non-conference games, Sark will have his team ready to go because we know now he takes extra months to prepare for that game.
Absolutely,
He
we're
is
in
kind of
Ohio State right now.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. There are Easter eggs being planted in spring practices, in training camp that'll help you prepare for that game. And we know that because Quinn is a different quarterback in those games, Alabama,
Michigan.
Michigan, than he is versus similar competition, guys with a lot of NFL talent, good coaches late in the season where you only have a fixed amount of time to prepare.
Couple of days.
Yeah, you got 6 days, 5, 6 days to prepare for Georgia. You ain't got 3, 4 months. If you did, he probably would perform at a higher level then too. And that's the NFL season too. You ain't got that much time. Remember, Sark even brought that up. He said that's one of his big complaints about the college football playoff is that they have inconsistent amount of times to prepare in between games. Some teams got to buy. And he said in the NFL, he said everybody's got the same amount of time. So it's kind of it kind of rolls into the season. If you prepare well and you got a good system and a good methodology, it translates. But college football player, what do we see? Arizona State had more time to prepare for Texas, and what happened?
They were ready. They were ready.
They were ready.
They were ready.
They were
More than ready.
ready.
And Scatterbo was that dude.
They were ready. That team shouldn't have made a stop. Yeah. Yes. So I think that's part of it too. And I think ultimately for Sark, he realized that as well. He brought that up. So I think if you start looking at it ultimately for Quinn, there's a lot. That's part of the reason that's what hurt him. Another thing that I think that hurts his stock is the fact that he's not Jackson Dart also had bad games, but Jackson Dart's a vertical passer. I believe he was one of your national leaders in average yards per attempt.
Oh yeah.
One thing that hurts Quinn, they believe he operates a rudimentary offense, right? Where it's a lot of screens, a lot of play action, a lot of RPOs, and very little straight drop back for him. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. This is the biggest question. There are people out there criticizing Quinn Ewers for leaving some sizable greenbacks on the table. Had he entered that transfer portal, and Quinn Ewers would have been commanding upwards $5-6 million. Somebody probably would have thrown some money, a bag at Quinn, a much bigger bag than that 7th round money bag that he's going to get, that non-guaranteed bag in the NFL. So do you think if Quinn Ewers was your son, would you have had him transfer? Or do you think that he just wanted to go down as a University of Texas quarterback and not a 1-year gun for hire?
I think it is the latter. Said I think ultimately he wants to be, because he has a Longhorn tattoo. I think ultimately he wants to be seen as a Longhorn when it's all said and done. He will have business ventures, I guarantee you, that he'll get into. He's probably going to live in the state of Texas when it's all said and done, no matter what happens in his NFL career. He was born here. So that matters. To him, it is kind of they always say that, when you pick your college, it's a 40-year decision, not a 4-year decision.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. That has changed a little bit with the transfer portal, but I think for Quinn, this was a 40-year decision for him. The short-term answer would have been go get your $5-6 million and then go to the NFL. NFL will still be there. Probably would have gotten drafted higher now in retrospect. So would he have gotten more money in the short term? There's no question about it. But Longhorn fans, they're already kind of salty about Quinn, even though he accomplished a lot at Texas and got you to the Final Four. If he had transferred to another school, that'd be downright vitriol and hatred for him.
Yeah, he would have
straight up, even after he took you to 2 Final Fours.
It would have been like
he would have been a pariah for
because they kind of low key hated on him while he was here. And your best friend is Chris Sims, so you know a little bit about that. You live that 26-6. 26-6, and they hated his guts. and I'll
Yeah.
never understand that. You didn't beat OU. That's got to be the only. But
But
26.
Quinn did some of those. This is the thing about it. This was weird because Quinn did some of the things that Chris Sims never did, and there's still the same sentiment where they're hating on him. And Sark said something he interviewed with Josh Pate, and he said the same thing that I've been saying about Chris Sims, why you have to appreciate him as a Longhorn fan, because you don't get the 3 5-star wide receivers, Roy Williams, B.J. Johnson, and Sloan Thomas without Chris Sims. And then later on, you get the rest of those big dogs. You get your Derek Johnsons and your Sid Bensons, and then it goes on and on. That starts the domino effect. If you didn't get the best player in the country and the celebrity quarterback in Chris Sims, then I don't know if those other dominoes fall as quickly. And Sark said that about Quinn. He said, Quinn came to us when we were 5 and 7. He said, people didn't think we were sexy back then. People didn't have faith in me or what we were, our vision here. But he came and helped us realize the vision. And then he said, if we don't get him, he said, we don't get, those other big time DFW guys. You don't get your Colin Simmons of the world. You don't get all those big time recruits later on if Quinn doesn't come initially, or at least it takes a longer period of time for it to come to fruition. So that's what I appreciate about Quinn. He did. He came when they were 5 and 7. Same thing about Sims. Sims came to Mac when Mac wasn't what we know now as a Hall of Fame coach and one of the greatest recruiters of all time. We didn't know that. He came to Texas when Mac, coming off that 1998 season, it was his first year at Texas. I mean, there was a lot of question marks.
Ricky
he decommitted from Tennessee to come to Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
Ricky had left. Yes, I respect that.
Well, let me ask you this. Hit on this draft real quick. Which one of the Texas draft picks are you most excited about as far as having a long and fruitful NFL career?
I'm excited about a lot of the guys, but long and fruitful careers, that's an interesting point about long and fruitful.
Well, that's
career.
Like 5 years. 5 years is pretty You can
exactly.
5. That's fruitful. That's fruitful.
It is.
Get to that.
I'll just kind of run down and be quick. Because I really liked a lot of the landing spots. First of all, if Jahdae Barron landing with the Broncos is great, gets to go up against Xavier Worthy a couple of times a year. I think Jahdae Barron's going to have a long career. And because there's so much margin for error. Like if he doesn't work out at corner, then they'll move him to star and move him inside. If he doesn't work out there, they'll probably move him to safety. A lot of margin for error there.
Because he's smart and he knows how to play all the positions. Yeah.
Exactly. He wants to be a defensive coordinator when he's done playing football. So you talking about being a student of the game. He respects the game too. That scene of him basically thanking the entire front office in the war room. I mean, that was amazing. So I love that spot. Kelvin Banks that dude's gonna have a hell of a long NFL career. There's no doubt about that in my mind too. So all the guys who ended up kind of first round picks, Matthew Golden. Listen, the Packers don't ever draft wide receivers in the first round, dude.
Never.
They don't.
Devontae Adams.
That's not how they operate. They're kind of like this
forever ago. And the only reason Devontae, because Aaron Rodgers demanded it.
No, wait about that. Devontae Adams was later. He was later. The last one was in 2002, Sid.
Oh, it was
Javon Walker.
Javon Walker, that's right. Devontae wasn't first round.
A long time ago. No, they're like the Steelers. The Steelers' last first round pick at wide receiver, which we'll talk about Pickens, I'm sure, at one point here, was Santonio Holmes. So they usually draft wide receivers second round, third round, fourth round. That's what the Packers do. Remember, Aaron Rodgers complained about it because they never drafted one, and yet they decided to break one of their universal rules for Matthew Golden. You're Matthew Golden. And that's the Packers. Forgot.
Oh,
and they're not the Falcons. This ain't the Texans. This ain't the Jags. It's the freaking Packers, man. They got a way of going about this. Yeah. And they decided, no, with Matthew Golden, we're gonna we'll break one of our rules for you because we think you're special.
And they don't have a number one. They don't have a number one receiver. Christian Watson is a 2. Maybe that Jaden Reed. I like him. I like Jaden Reed. Maybe he's a 1, but I don't know that he's as good as Matthew Golden.
I don't think so.
Is always open. He is always open. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get off the line of scrimmage against these physical corners. I mean, it'll be interesting.
That will be the question. I mean, that's the question. But that system, they're going to move him around more. Like Sark put him in a bunch and put him in motion a lot. They'll scheme him open. And I love the fact that he was there, and so was Barron Sorrell. They ended up being teammates again.
That was cool. I was watching. That was cool.
That was cool, man. And Barron Sorrell, you want to know who's going to be kind of the late middle round pick that's going to have a second contract and I guess a long NFL career. If that's 5 years, Barron Sherrill's a good bet. He's a real good bet.
He's my
He's
favorite.
a good bet, man.
He's my favorite guy to talk to on this team this year. High character guy, smart,
Mm-hmm.
Focused on his job. I liked Gunnar Helm and Barron Sorrell. Those were the guys I talked to for the most of the year. I didn't talk a whole lot to Quinn. He showed up sometimes at practice, sometimes he didn't. But if I really wanted some insight on what's going on, I would talk to Barron Sorrell or Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm always had his game face on. I mean, that guy was focused. So Banks could be the next Willie Roaf in New Orleans. He could be the next Willie Roaf. He could be because
I like that.
Because he's got that makeup. And they were talking that guard, talking ish about him moving the guard. That was just poker. People trying to stir the pot because they were hoping he'd drop so they could get him. People knew that Kelvin Banks that tackle. Sark was like, man, don't believe that. Don't believe none of that. So
well, Bo Davis told him. Bo Davis was be like, hey, listen, I went up against that dude. My guys went up against him every damn day. Draft him. Right. You'll have 10 years. You'll be 10 years.
You won't get that 4 a.m. wake-up call that Kelvin Banks just got into another fight at a strip club. You're not getting that call. You're not getting that call.
Yep, Ray's right.
You have someone that early, you're drafting the person too, not just the athlete.
Yep, and that's kind of what they said about Barron Sherrill. I heard Matt LaFleur say, he said every time we brought a Texas player in, we would ask them, hey, who's the best teammates or who's the best leaders on your team? Because they're trying to get info on young guys or other guys in the draft. And he said Barron Sherrill kept coming up. Guys were like, man, Barron Sherrill is such a great leader, such a great teammate, this, that. And he said it was a culture and a character pick just as much as it was a skill set one and a need for us. Because we believe he's going to be, and like I said, he's going to be a Packer, I think, for his second contract. That's as best a prediction as I can make. That's a damn good one in the league because most guys, they don't sign second contracts. I also like Jaden Blue spot, man. Cowboys did not have any explosivity, if you will, in that backfield. Blue's going to bring it. He's got a chance to play early.
Dump that thing off to Jaden and let him dance.
Bro, he's got a chance to play early.
That Deuce. Yeah, Deuce Watch has started. That was good PR. Good PR last year. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough for Deuce to make this team because they had a nice draft. The Cowboys had a nice draft. It was a decent draft. I got to ask you about the big news today, though. George Pickens. It was announced on Wednesday. The Cowboys trade a third round and a sixth round to the Steelers for George freaking Pickens. And let me tell you something. Talent-wise, that is one of the best number 2 receiver acquisitions we've seen in a while. But the problem is between his ears. He's crazy. He is bat guano crazy. Rod, he's nuts.
George Pickens, he's a receiver. They're all kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Aren't they all kind of wild?
Chad Ochocinco, those kind of guys. Man. But they didn't hurt their teams with the crazy. George Pickens he had like 5 or 6 unsportsmanlike last year. That's too many. I was watching the game. He called a 60-yard pass and got a 15-yard penalty. And the 60-yard pass put him in field goal range, and then a 15-yard penalty took him out.
They showed the clip.
We're like, George, stop it.
But they say he does it in practice too. Like they say it's not just a game thing. In practice, he's doing the same stuff. That's him. I will say this because they always what's the hot to crazy ratio? They said every woman's a little crazy as long as she's not crazier than she is hot. All right, as long as she's hotter than she is crazy, it's all good. Is he crazier than he is hot? Because he's pretty damn hot. I think he's still really hotter than he is.
He's really hot, but he's crazier. He's crazier because the crazy led Mike Tomlin, the biggest players coach in the league, to get rid of him. Mike Tomlin loves his players. Mike Tomlin got tired of him. He got tired of him.
He does, but can I say, Mike Tomlin?
Go ahead.
Steelers, they have an MO. They do this a lot, Sid. Think about it. They did it. Antonio Brown was kind of like this. Santonio Holmes. They drafted wide receiver.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then they trade him away. So that has happened before with the Steelers. But my point is, the Steelers they're not about the BS. They're not about guys being distracted. And he is that, right? They're about a team being focused, and they want guys who are team guys, and guys who are going to be all about, rowing in the same direction. And that ain't necessarily George Pickens, but I will say for the Cowboys, because it's probably a 1-year rental. There's no way they're going to pay him a second
It's gonna be
contract.
It's gonna be $30 million to keep him.
They're not going to pay him. So this is a 1 year, because they're not going to pay him and then pay Micah and then pay, they're paying CD, paying Dak. They're not going to pay him that money. So I think it's kind of a 1-year rental for them, or short-term deal for them. And I think for this season, though, man, it's going to be entertaining. The offense is going to be entertaining with CD in the slot, him out wide. Man, like I said, we add Jaden Blue to the mix. Jaden Blue's going to get some touches. Devontae Turpin's pretty damn explosive. They might have a little something working in Dallas now.
Is it going to move the needle in the NFC East or the Eagles or running thing?
No, you ain't messing with the Eagles.
You ain't messing with the Eagles. What about what about the resurgent Red Commanders? Almost.
I don't right now, man. Jaden Daniels, he looks like the truth. The NFL usually catches up to young quarterbacks. That's why they talk about the second-year slump, the sophomore slump. We shall see, but he looks like the real deal, and that's a match made in heaven with him and Cliff Kingsbury. And so I right now they're third to me in that division. We'll see if they can work up from there, but I think right now I'll take the Eagles and I'll take Washington over them.
Will they get to the playoffs though? I mean, you're talking third place. You're talking about what, 10-7, 9-8. They're not gonna make the playoffs. No way.
Depends on. I don't see it right now. I don't have them as a playoff team. Right now, they're not a playoff team in my opinion.
I don't think so.
No, not right now.
Well, before I get you out of here,
not right now.
News broke that the sitting president of the United States has entered the college football fray, and sources are telling our friend Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports that Donald Trump is thinking about establishing a commission that's going to, quote, deeply examine the university landscape of university college sports, including the frequency of player movement in the transfer portal, unregulated booster compensation paid to athletes, and the debate of college athletes' employment. Donald Trump, the college football savior. What do you make of that, Rob B? Donald Trump, the rescue. Oh my God, he's already saved the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to own Greenland. Canada's going to be 51. What next? What about college football? Is he going to charge like $1.5 million a plate for the athletic directors to meet to solve college football's ills? What about it?
Listen, President Trump has always had passion for sports. So if I was y'all, I'd take him seriously. Yeah, and maybe tried to get into the billionaires club of the NFL, and they didn't let him in. And now they're gonna have the NFL draft at the
on the lawn of the White House. I'm sure there's plenty of room since he tore down the Rose Garden. Yeah, there's probably plenty of room on the White House lawn.
But no, they're gonna have it in DC. Actually, Arch Manning may be getting his name called. Actually, right when the draft is in DC. But anyway, getting back to it, it's going to make it very complicated. If the president steps in, now you're going to add a political layer to it. By the way, this is what they've been advocating for too. Remember Sark and CDC? They went to Capitol Hill not too long ago. Nick Saban apparently got the ear. Yeah, he got the ear of the president a few weeks ago, and that became big news because he said he might have to sign. He might issue an executive order to look at and closely analyze, college sports and the current predicament that it's in. I'm not going to say he's not going to do it because President Trump has done a lot of things that is unpredictable.
Never say he's not going to do it.
Yeah, I won't. I'm not going to say that. No, he will do it. But I just think it's going to add another layer of complexity to it. Listen, this thing's going to be caught. This thing's already still caught up in the courts. If you add another layer to it of the executive branch now intervening as well, something tells me that might throw it back into court, especially if it's trying to somehow interfere with the free market. And I think what the coaches and what the administrations want, they want more guardrails and more regulations on the movement of the players, signing NIL deal, and then next year decide, nah, I'm gone. And so I think
Hey,
they want to control movement, which I'm not sure in terms of the interpretation. I'm assuming that affects their ability to earn and to maximize their value, and that might end up in court too. So I just think if President Trump does intervene, in any way, executive order, or he says he's going to set up maybe just a commission or something like that. But if they intervene, it's going to just go back to court again,
maybe
because
get
that's
Herschel
just
Walker.
and that'll end up.
You put Herschel to lead the commission because Herschel loved college football, and Herschel
Oh,
is a politician as well. I'm going to tell you the one thing I'll say, and I've said it before. Nick Saban needs to be running this thing. It needs to be Nick Saban because he loves college football. He sees where it's going, and it's not for the better. He knows that there's got to be some kind of middle ground between the players getting their money, and I'm all about players getting paid, Rob B. Get your money, kid. Get your money. But
get
there's
your
got
money,
to be
man.
guardrails, and
Get
there's
your
got to
money.
be a little bit, you got to bring that thing a little bit back toward earth. I mean, you got 19-year-old kids driving Lamborghinis. Dude, you can drive a Lexus and nobody's going to say anything, but you don't need a Lambo. You don't need a damn Lambo at 19. Come on. Come on.
Hey, man, this is a overcorrection for the decades of
Century.
exploitation,
Thank
the
you.
century of exploitation of student athletes, and
Thank
this is an overcorrection. So I agree, it is an overcorrection. They got to find the happy balance of letting the free market do its thing while also still trying to preserve some of what makes college football special. Otherwise, we just headed for them being employees, and man, that's just another NFL. And I don't
Yeah.
even think the
Then
NFL
then you got
either.
then you got unions, and then you got
You got
workman's comp,
unions,
and
you
then you
got,
got people
yeah,
suing. You got people calling
yeah,
in sick. Man, I can't make it.
yeah,
The
yeah,
game is
exactly.
Saturday. You're calling in sick on Wednesday. Man, I can't make it. I got a thing. I got a thing happening. So those kind of
That's what I'm
things
saying.
can happen. We all work with somebody that called in sick and that wasn't really sick. We've
Oh
done.
man, what? All the time. I work with people like that all the time, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think ultimately, I'm with you. They need college football needs to step up and either appoint a commissioner, or they need to step up and start this process themselves, which is going to be led by the SEC and the Big Ten, because they are the true power conferences now. Like, they got all the power and they got all the money and the influence. So
All right, last question. Do you see a day, and I've written this before. Do you see a day when the SEC and the Big Ten and what's left of the ACC and the Big 12 decide to say, hey, let's go form our own football super league, and let's not worry about
mm,
those other schools. We don't have to worry about CFP. We don't have to worry about Boise State sneaking in there. None of that. Form a super league of 60 to 70 schools and push the NCAA out. Get Fox and get the mouse on board, and let the NCAA still run the other sports in the NCAA basketball tournament. But secede from the union basically and be your own league, because the people are going to watch those big teams. And it's all about, let's be honest, it's the SEC and the Big Ten running this thing. Do you see
yeah.
that happening if they can get the TV execs on board?
I think somebody's smart enough to look at what the NFL's done. Right? What's the NFL? A $25 billion a year league, something like that?
At
It's
least,
crazy.
at least
Yeah,
the
something like
Cowboys
that.
worth
Right?
six. The Cowboys worth
Yeah.
six. So yeah,
So I think it's like, I think their annual revenue is like $25 billion a year, and increasing, and that's 32 teams. I imagine somebody in college football, maybe it's a TV exec, maybe some network exec, maybe it's a conference commissioner, is looking at and saying, "Man, what would it be worth to organize major college football under one umbrella?"
just
As
major.
that's what we're talking about. What would it be worth? Because to
I'm
me, if the
in.
NFL is worth 20 something billion, 25 billion, I think you might be approaching that kind of number too, with all those
More
brands
people,
together.
more people go to college football games than NFL games. These super
There you
teams,
go.
Michigan and Texas A&M and
Mhm.
Texas and Penn State and Ohio State, those
Ohio
stadiums,
State.
Tennessee, those are all 90,000 plus. all of them, and they
Yeah,
pack them.
you cut the fat.
Cut the fat.
Yeah,
No
and you
more
cut the
Prairie
fat,
View.
and it's all meat.
No more
Yeah,
Prairie View. No more
yep,
Prairie View.
yeah.
Yeah, no more
Mhm.
of that. No more ooh la la. No, I'm talking about big dogs playing big dogs.
Big dogs, man, big
I
dogs.
think it could work. I think it could work, and I think the money would be there. I think the
And
money.
revenue sharing might drive it. Said the
Mhm.
revenue sharing from the house settlement might drive it because only a few schools are going to be able to afford it, and everybody can't afford to play with the big dogs and have a $20 million revenue share with student athletes. And for not everybody's going to be able to afford that. No way.
I don't think
No
so
way.
either. But Rob, man,
Yeah.
always a pleasure. Check him out. If you enjoyed this, then you need to call up Third and Longhorns. You need to call up on Texas football, and that's on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube. You don't have to pay, but you can get Rod Babers' fix all day long because he's one of the best out there. Don't sleep on Rod B. Rod, we appreciate it. That's going to do it for this episode of On Second Thought. Appreciate Rod B. Appreciate you listening on your podcast and your cars at the gym. Man, I'm so jealous of people that go to the gym. Rod B, I'm up to 2 days a week though. I'm doing stuff. I'm
Good
doing
for you, brother. That's more than me.
when you look good, you ain't got to do that. I mean, you're not 50 years
Well,
old, bro. You're not old yet. I'll check back with you in about 10 years when you're living around like me. But man, we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us,
OG.
guys, and we will see you next time.